What up, y'all? So we were about to do a UFC 321 that happened in AUE. We're about to do a reaction video for the fight card that just happened. It was a pretty terrible card. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's only 3 finishes on the card. There were weight misses. There were fights ending in no contest. One of the things I did like about this card that the refs were taking points for cheating. Grabbing the fence, eye pokes, different things like that. The refs seemed like they were very stern on that. I know last week we had a lot of like fouls, like nut shots and stuff like that, and we saw some fights go one way and other fights go the other way. And a lot of people are saying we need to keep it consistent. If we're gonna make one decision on one thing, we should make a decision on all fights that way. And so hopefully the refs, they went back and they had a referee meeting or something. They should have like weekly referee meetings on stuff like this to keep this sport clean and have the actual people that should win, because these nut shots. And these eye pokes, they really impact the fight. And, I will say this. Tom Aspinall. We're going to start with Tom and Ciryl Gane. So we're going to start with the main card. We're going to go all the way down through the first fight of the card. Tom Aspinall, I commend you. I'm not mad that you didn't try to go out there and be a tough guy and fight through an injury, an eye poke. Obviously, the man's fingers were fucking knuckles deep in your eye. Like, you know what I mean? I was sitting there, and I was watching the fight, and I'm like, I hope this guy does not try to be Mr. Tough Guy and thug it out and try and finish a fight because the fans want to see it or whatever the fuck. You're a professional fighter. This is a big stage you're on. You may never get this opportunity again if you lose the belt. You know what I mean? He did the right thing. With that being said, though, he is never going to hear the end of this. First of all, this fight went on way longer than anyone thought, than I thought. I said it was going to end within the first 3 minutes, and it surely did not. And there are signs, He came in like 12 pounds heavier than he was in his last fight. In his last fight versus Blaze, he looked fast, quick on his feet in all of his fights. He came out tonight and looked lethargic, slow to me. I know that I came out with that video and said, what if Ciryl Gane win? And everything that Ciryl Gane did tonight was what I said would happen if he were to win. Angling off, not standing right in front of Aspinall like every other person does with him. You know what I'm saying? So, and I said there's holes in Tom's game. He was getting cracked tonight. Okay? He got hit with a lot of shots, you know what I'm saying? So, Tom was leaking. We've never seen Tom damaged. And, I was very, very excited because I actually wanted to see what Tom would look like going into deep waters because this fight was going to go into the second round. Now, before the eye poke, Tom landed I think it was an overhand right, and that looked like if he didn't get eye poked, he probably would have like spun Ciryl Gane's head off his shoulders. But by the way the fight was going, man, Ciryl Gane was light on his feet. He was dancing around the octagon. He was circling off on Tom. He was entering on angles. He was exiting on angles. He was using his reach advantage that he had in this fight. He looked good, man. Ciryl Gane looked very, very good in this fight. And, it's just too bad that this happened this way. It sucks. It really, really does. But, I am really happy that Tom didn't try and be Mr. Tough Guy tonight. And he, you know what I'm saying? He stood on, he said, listen, he stood on, if someone pokes you in the eye like that, you're a champion, right? You're a champion, right? Yeah, take that, man. Listen, tell the ref, if you cannot fight, don't fight. Why risk losing your belt and getting styled on? Because he was already, he was landing, right? I think he was outlanding Ciryl in this fight before it ended. But Ciryl was landing the more significant shots. Ciryl had the damage on his side. Ciryl was winning that first round. If the first round, Ciryl would have probably went Cyryl's way. Ciryl actually looked even faster than Tom. He looked faster than Tom in this fight. So, with that being said, why? Why risk? Now you have one variable working against you, one more variable working against you, where everybody thought you'd be way faster, you'd dominate within the first 3 minutes, and it wasn't the case. You weren't lightning speed faster. You weren't, or at least you didn't show it up to the time the fight ended. You didn't show that. So with that being said, you're not going to add one more disadvantage, an eye poke, and try and fight through that. I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad. Now, obviously, I would have liked to see an actual fight because this looked like it was going to be one of the better UFC heavyweight fights ever. With two men going to war. That's what it looked like was about to happen until the eye poke happened. And you know what? Honestly, shame on Ciryl. You need to stop with the freaking eye pokes, man. They got to figure out a way to. And I like what the rest were doing. They were very stern tonight on taking points, and that's what they need to start doing in these fights, man. So Ciryl, you need to keep those fingers closed, man. You knew it was your fault. He apologized in the mic, and he took it on the chin, but boy, Tom is not going to hear the end of this. First of all, John Jones ended the fight very, very fast. Francis Ngannou, who I think would beat every one of them. I think Francis would beat Ciryl, destroy Ciryl again. I think he would, if he fought him again, I think he would destroy John Jones. I think he would beat, and I think he would knock out Tom Aspinall. And I think that showed tonight. I even think Alex Pereira would actually come up and give Tom real problems. Because if you want to talk about footwork, Alex is, he's elite with footwork and, and attacking angles and suffocating you on the feet when, pushing you to where he wants you to go on the feet. I think Alex would be serious problems for Tom. Real problems for Tom. I think Francis Ngannou would be serious problems for Tom. Jones, I still, it's still questionable because I would like to see Tom in the grappling department. Now, what was interesting was Tom shot in for a takedown and couldn't get it. Ciryl Gane did shrug him off, and that was really, really, really interesting, man. He was really, really interesting to see that. I did not expect that. I thought Tom was going to be able to take him down at will. He was going to be able to land at will. And, Tom, again, he starts the fight, right? And he starts the fight, and, he lands a hard, he lands a hard a body kick. He started the fight landing some hard body kicks. You know what I'm saying? And I think that had the fight gone on longer, I think he would have used the body kicks to kind of try and slow Tom down. You know what I mean? I think Tom would have done that because the way Ciryl was moving, it looked like that was going to give Tom problems the entire fight. It looked like, and I will say this. Although Tom was having trouble with the movement, he was getting closer and closer and closer to landing that overhand right and that right hand on Ciryl. You know what I'm saying? Before that eye poke landed, he landed an overhand right. And now if the eye poke didn't happen, who knows how much more impact and steam that right hand would have been. Maybe that puts Ciryl down. Ciryl took a couple shots though, which shows that he had a chin. Most guys don't take shots like that from Tom. And Ciryl took a couple right straights down the middle. Had Tom leaking, landed his jab, started the fight, light on his feet, in and out, landing his jab. He had the reach advantage by 3 inches, and that showed tonight. You saw that. Ciryl also landed a solid body kick as well. So this is a fight that I hope that they go back to the drawing table and they rebook immediately. Look, they're 322 is a little bit too early, but maybe 322 if Tom's not really hurt. Listen, I do not care at this point that if the heavyweights main event. I think that they should rebook the fight, and I think that they should if they have to put Tom under Makhachev, because at this point I think the star power is what we're looking at, right? Makhachev is a big star. I know the heavyweight fight you want to have is the main event, whatever, or then maybe 323. Even though Merab is becoming a bigger name, that's still a card where maybe you can throw Tom on there, Tom and Ciryl on there, and just in Vegas, right? In Vegas and kind of or MSG, Try and get this fight rebooked very quickly because, one, I even though I do feel a little bit bad for Ciryl Gane, it's his fault, man. He was the one who stuck his fingers. He doesn't know how to close his freaking fingers. Stop with that reaching stuff, man. With your hands. He literally dug his fingers into Tom Aspinall's eyes. This is what I do want to say about Tom Aspinall though too as well. Tom, you need to stop with this nice guy stuff. He got on the mic. Hey, I don't know why you guys are booing. I took a eye poke, knuckles deep in my eye. It's like, dude, get on there and tell him to fuck off. Tell him to fuck off. You know what I'm saying? You're the baddest man on the planet. Act like it. You know what I mean? Flip, throw the bird at Ciryl Gane. Flick him off. Get in his face. Get mad. Like, show that, you know what I'm saying? I think that would kind of like grow some star power and also make this, add some spice to this event, because this was a really terrible way for the fight night, boring fight pay-per-view, by the way, to end. This is a terrible way for it to end. So if you throw some spice in there, you get up in Cyryl's face and you call him a little bitch for poking you in the eye, or you get on the mic and you say some crazy shit like, yo, this is a little bitch. He poked me in the fucking eye. He knew what he was doing. Like, start, like, you know what I'm saying? Give me some of that, bro. And that's when you kind of will start winning fans over. But this getting on the mic, I don't know what you guys want me to do. He poked me in the eye, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear that shit, man. Nobody wants to hear that. You know what I mean? And so I think that's one part of Tom's game that he does have to work on. It's just the presence on the mic, you know what I mean? And just kind of because that is what it is. It's like that's what it was that happened. He poked you in the eye. It's Cyryl's fault. Why are they booing Tom? You know what I'm saying? If they're booing Tom, get pissed off, and you need to start letting people know, telling people off, man. Get on the mic and start. And you don't have to be rude about it. But like, listen, the guy poked me in the freaking eye. This is what he gets. He's a little bitch for that. I personally think he did it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to call him a bitch, I think he did it on purpose. I think he knew what he was doing. And you know what? We're going to rebook this right away. And I'm going to show you why I am the champ. Let's rebook this on the next pay-per-view. Give me time to get this eye checked out and get it healed up. And let's go again. Because this wasn't on me. This was on your boy, your Frenchman, Ciryl Gane. It was his fault. Da-da-da-da. You feel what I'm saying? So hopefully, he needs a little edge. Get a little edge on you, man. Because that would have kind of saved the card a little bit. It was such a boring card. It was a terrible freaking card. We're gonna move on to the next one. Unfortunately, this fight didn't happen in dominant form like we're used to seeing Ciryl Gane or Tom Aspinall do. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the fight play out because it looked like it was about to be a really fun scrap between Ciryl and Tom. But, listen, let's rebook that one and get it going right away. Because, again, listen, this is huge for the division, is to get Tom, somebody to a superstar status. If Tom would have came out there tonight and smoked Ciryl, he would have been a superstar tonight. Superstar tonight. You know what I mean? But this was a, anticlimactic ending. This is not the way you want a heavyweight fight to end. You want to see a knockout. It didn't happen, but we really need to rebook this immediately. Hopefully we can go on and I'm gonna stop rambling about this fight, but I just hope that they get that one rebooked soon, man. Before the end of the year, throw it on either the Madison Square Garden underneath Islam, or put it on the 23 in Vegas above Marab. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something you can get away with, adding it to the Marab card. I can so see that working out and having 3 title fights that night. I don't think that would be a problem. Okay, on to the next one. We got Mackenzie Dern versus Virna Jandiroba. This, by the way, I got tonight. I was let me see. How was I on picks tonight? I was pretty terrible, to be honest with you guys. I was really, really bad tonight on picks. Let me see. Tom Aspinall, I guess I was wrong on that. So we're 0-1 on the night. Mackenzie Dern, I was wrong on that. So 0-2. Umar, so I'm 1-2. I'm 1-3. I'm 2-3. I'm 3-3. I'm 4-3. 4-4. I'm 5-4. 5-5. I'm 6-5. I was 5-6 tonight, so I did terrible on picks tonight. But on to the next one. We got Mackenzie Dern versus Virna Jandiroba. This fight was so bad, man. Both women came out, and it looked like what was happening was Virna was getting the takedowns, and this Mackenzie was way more busy everywhere. She was busier on the feet, she was busier on the ground. Virna would get the takedowns, and Mackenzie was just landing elbows from the bottom, and this happened every round. You know what I mean? On the feet, it looked like Mackenzie was landing the more damaging shots. She landed a couple. She landed an overhand that stunned Virna early. You know what I mean? It just looked like on the feet, Mackenzie did what she had to do. She was more aggressive. She looked like shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. She was just blitzing in, head down, throwing one, 1, 2, 3, whatever, hoping something would land. It was what it looked like. Virna just wasn't letting her hands go as much as she needed to. So it was a unanimous decision, 48-47, 48-47, and a 49-46, all in favor of Mackenzie Dern. Yeah, I mean, in the clinch, it just Mackenzie was landing the better strike, the knees. Again, she was using up kicks. She was utilizing the up kicks on Virna Jandiroba. She was just the better. She was just busier everywhere. It looked like when she was on the ground, Mackenzie is very high level grappler, and even though Virna landed, I want to say Virna, I mean, she had to have like 6 or 7 takedowns tonight, she at least got 2 around. And it just looked like on the ground, Mackenzie was able to utilize underhooks and, her guard. She has a very, very strong guard, able to control Virna's head, pulling her head down and just landing elbows, using her knees to bridge between to create a bridge between her and Virna, and was just landing hammer fists, elbows, and just different things from the bottom. When they were in a clinch, Mackenzie would be landing elbows. Yeah. In round 3, though, I do want to say that Mackenzie landed a legal up kick. Virna was still down. They didn't do anything about that, which I don't like. It's a championship fight. Okay? This is for a belt. That's something that, neither one of them are champions. So it's not like you're going to be, one, Mackenzie's a champion, so she gets like championship treatment or something. But they clearly wanted Mackenzie to win. They were glazing her the entire fight. And, it just looked like every single round is the same thing that happened. I was just kind of like, okay, Virna gets a takedown. Let's advance to a dominant position. But Mackenzie was doing an excellent job with butterfly hooks, the knee shield, and just different things like that to prevent her from transitioning to dominant positions. And she would keep her, she was often pulling her head down, landing elbows, landing hammer fists from the bottom. Landing nothing punches, but they were landing, and Virna was landing absolutely nothing. She was able to neutralize Virna from top position, like literally neutralize him. And that just shows how high level Mackenzie is off her back. Yeah, Mackenzie. Listen, I'm not a fan of Mackenzie. I think she's gonna get chinned as soon as Amanda Lemos steps back in front of her. Somebody with a little bit of power. I know Amanda Lemos. I know that I think Amanda Lemos might be 1 win away because Amanda Lemos beat her, I want to say. Amanda Lemos beat her, and so did Jessica Andrade a couple fights ago. Slept her. But, yeah, I mean, this is who they wanted as champ. It was very clear. I do not know that Mackenzie deserved a title shot, but, Amanda Lemos, she lost to, was it God, who did she lose to? Mackenzie Dern? I hate when I have to look at things because it's annoying. And let me see here. Mackenzie. So Mackenzie Amanda Lemos. So she beat Mackenzie, but she recently lost to what's her name? Tatiana Suarez. So she recently lost to Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez is maybe 1 win away from a title shot. I think she's only lost to the champion, but so is Amanda Lemos. I could see if Tatiana Suarez losing to Mackenzie Dern, because I think that Tatiana Suarez's injuries have just gotten the best of her, and I do think that she is. I don't think she's the same fighter. I low-key thought she lost to Amanda Lemos. I think Amanda Lemos is probably going to be the one to take the belt from Mackenzie Dern. On to the next one. We have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. So this fight was a unanimous decision, 30-27 for Umar, just like I predicted. Listen, Mario was game though. I said that this was going to be a very competitive fight, and I think it was. It was a very competitive fight in the sense that Mario, even when he was taken down, he was very active, trying to get back up. He would get back up often, and then when he got back up, he wasn't shying away from afraid of the takedowns. He was pressing forward still. You know, Mario, he came out in the first round, he was pressuring. Every time he would get taken down, he'd get back up, and he was right back in Umar's face. I mean, he was throwing up kicks. He threw, Umar did catch a kick and threw him on the ground with this single leg. Umar did elevate him, pick him up, and slam him down. There was one point in the first round where Mario attacked a leg, and it looked like he had Umar in a very compromised situation. But Umar is very flexible, and which is why he can flip those kicks up so just out of nowhere, like literally right in front of you. You can flip a head kick right up. He's very flexible, and you saw that. Like Mario had his leg really compromised, whether it was a knee bar or like an ankle lock or something he was going for, and he had Umar in what looked to be trouble, and it looked like, if it was anybody else, maybe he would have been in trouble. But Umar, he scrambles out, he gets on top, and he's controlling Mario. He stays very heavy on top. One thing you saw in this fight was Umar. He showed levels with the grappling. He was very, very heavy on top of Mario. The pressure was getting to Mario. He was landing some ground and pound. It wasn't anything crazy, but he was landing ground and pound enough to win him the fight. Obviously, 30-27. Bautista, in the first round when Umar had him down and he wall walked to get back up, and at one point you see Umar, he has his back and trips so Mario is on like all fours, and Umar trips his hands, right? He has the body lock behind, and he trips his hand out to take Mario Bautista down. Very, very, very dominant grappling tonight. He utilized the body lock. He was able to get that body triangle on Mario a few times. Mario was good though, man. He was rolling to the side of where the lock was on, the body lock was, where the knee was locked to his ankle, and putting pressure on Umar's the side where the lock was on. And he was able to utilize that to escape out of the body lock, but the chain wrestling was just too much for Mario tonight. In the second round, Mario actually landed a beautiful, it looked like a high kick, but it was kind of like a knee. It looked like he was going for a high kick, but it didn't extend. It actually dropped Umar, stunned him badly, and Umar recovers and shoots right in for a takedown, because I think he was stunned a little bit, and he didn't expect that. But even in the striking exchanges, I think Umar was out striking him, countering Mario's strikes. Umar's slick with the hands, man, and you saw that tonight as well. He was just showing levels to Mario tonight. Mario had nothing from on the feet or on the ground. It did look like Mario's pressure was getting to Umar a little bit, but once Umar got cornered, he just utilized the takedown. And yeah, he just put on a wrestling clinic tonight, and I said in my prediction video that the wrestling would be the difference, and it was completely the difference. And you saw Umar use the wrestling to get out ahead, and that was a good victory for Umar tonight. I don't know that he deserves a title shot right away. I think that Mario is like ranked number 8 or something like that. I don't have it right in front of me, but I think he's ranked like number 8. So I don't know about an immediate title shot, man. Let's work your way back up a little bit, little bro. I do think that we should get, like I said before in my prediction video, Song Yadong versus Sean O'Malley. Let's see who wins that fight, and then the winner of that fight fights Umar to fight for the belt. Again, unless you're Sean O'Malley. If you're Sean O'Malley beats Umar, then we can entertain. If he beats Song and then he beats Umar, that'd be 2 in a row. No, but he's just lost twice to Merab. I think he would have to win like 2 more after that to get a third title shot. You know what I mean? He'd have to win like 4 in a row against top 5 guys. So yeah, something like that needs to happen. I don't think we should give Umar giving these guys title shots off a one win, right? Especially because as I said in my prediction video, like Umar's resume isn't like that. You know what I'm saying? Mario is a good win, but even with Mario, it's like Mario and Corey. Those are his two best wins. Other than that, it's a bunch of, Beksat is maybe his next best guy that he beat. So I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. I think the UFC does want Umar to fight for the belt, but we will see. On to the next one. We have Aleksandar Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. Now this was a split decision. Two judges gave it a 29-28 to Volkov, and one judge gave it a 28-29 to Almeida. I think Almeida needs to start trusting his hands, man, because there was a point. I think it was in the second round where he shoots in on a takedown, but before he shoots in on a takedown, like literally immediately when the round starts, he lands a nice overhand right. He threw a feint. He feinted and came over the top with a overhand right, and it looked good. He just doesn't trust his hands. So when you're exhausting yourself, and we've seen Almeida in the past kind of have cardio issues, but when you're exhausting yourself in the first rounds and all you're doing is going for takedown after takedown after takedown and trying to stay heavy on top, and you're usually he's a lighter heavyweight. He is a lighter heavyweight. So that's your game plan against these big giant guys like a Volkov. He's a massive guy, right? You can run into some cardio issues, man. So he needs to trust his hands. He needs to trust his hands a little bit more, and I think Almeida could take himself to the next level. Work on your striking, bro. You cannot come to the UFC these days and rely strictly on grappling. It's just not gonna work, man. It's just not gonna work. You know what I mean? So, he shoots immediately into the first round. He does get the single leg, but Volkov reverses it, and he starts raining down elbows and punches. Like Volkov won that first round. You know what I mean? And then the second round starts. Almeida lands that beautiful overhand right and shoots right in for another single leg and just goes right to taking Volkov down. So the beautiful thing is Volkov has underrated grappling, because when he was on the bottom, he utilized wrist control beautifully to control Almeida, and I think that's what tired Almeida out. Almeida was steady trying to transition into side control from guard or from half guard, and he couldn't transition. Volkov was holding that wrist. He was using his butterfly hooks to reverse and to prevent Almeida from transitioning into a better position to land more dangerous shots. He was just staying busy on bottom. You can't go in there and like Almeida landed nothing on top. He was being controlled on top, to be honest, from the top position, to be honest. Almeida was on top and was getting controlled. There were times where he got Volkov's back in the second round, but Volkov was able to get Almeida back into his guard. The ref actually stood the fight up because Almeida wasn't doing anything. You know what I mean? So it's like and as soon as the ref stood them up, Almeida shoots right back in on a takedown. It's like, bro, throw your hands. Trust your hands. Almeida, until he develops some striking ability, his striking ability is not even that bad, to be honest. That's why I'm saying trust your hands. Until he starts trusting his hands, I don't think he can go to the next level. I really don't. I think he's gonna lose to guys like a Volkov and a Curtis Blades. He's gonna lose to them often because he's not trusting his hands. And if he trusts his hands, I think we can see a different Almeida. The third round starts. He shoots for a takedown immediately into the round. Volkov avoids the takedown, gets back up. They're on the clinch, and Volkov is like ripping knees to his midsection. Almeida gets a takedown. While he gets a takedown, he's on top doing nothing. Volkov is staying busy on the bottom, like I said again. And the same thing happens in the third. The ref stands them up. It's just like, I don't think that fighters are grasping that it's damage based, man. Just shooting a bunch of takedowns over and over again, it's not it. It's not going to do it anymore, So, yeah, I would say good win for Volkov. He's next in line probably, or, maybe not, man. Maybe he has to fight another guy because the heavyweight division is interesting right now. You have some guys coming in. Ante DeLiha wins a couple more. You know what I'm saying? Derek Lewis wins a couple more. Wins another one or two. You have some guys that are coming now, man. Some guys with actual skill. So just saying, heavyweight's looking kind of interesting. It's getting interesting, On to the next, we got Aleksandar Rakic versus Azamat Bakoy Murzakanov. I mean, Azamat, boy, exactly what I said, man. Round 1 KO with a fucking like jab, but it was like a hook. It was like a shovel hook. It was like just a clean shovel hook right on the inside of Rakic's shoulders. Didn't overextend, didn't loop it. Beautiful, beautiful right hook, right? But before that, Rakic was landing some nice leg kicks, landing some nice body kicks. He did shoot in for a takedown, gets it reversed. Or actually, Azamat just stuffed it, and they get back to the feet. Rakic, for whatever reason, doesn't want to use his range and gets caught right on the chin. Right on chin with it stunned him. Put him on his back in La La Land. In La La Land. So, good win for Murzakanov now. I think that's like 4 in a row now. I hate when I have to look at stuff because I'm supposed to know my shit because I'm not a casual, but whatever the fuck, all right? So, let's look. So, this is... Let me see. Azamat Murzakanov, he has now won... Oh, whoa, I'm way off. No, this is... Okay, hold on. Wrong guy. Azamat Murzakanov. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. Holy. And a bunch of KOs. I think 5 of them are by KO, right? So yeah, he KO'd Nzichuku. He KOs Murzakanov, Clark. KOs Manafield. KOs Ribeiro, and KOs Rakic. Rakic was his best win. I think he's dangerous, man. He has a lot of power. Obviously, he has grappling ability. He is very dangerous for this division. Very, very dangerous. I think he can be a real problem, okay? So we're also looking forward to see what happens with Murzakanov. Good win. One of the few KOs, one of the few finishes on this fight. This pay-per-view is terrible. Nasrat Haqparast, my lord. I don't think Nasrat's awake yet. And it's been several hours. Quillan Salkilld landed a head kick that I was like he has to, is he okay? I thought he unalived him. I really thought he unalived him. It was bad, man. I literally thought that man was... I think he was shaking on the ground, just completely out cold. And it looked like Nasrat was getting into his flow, controlling the distance a little bit. It looked like I saw Quillan Salkilld missing a couple of shots that he was throwing. It looked like Nasrat was doing his thing. Quillan feints that left and comes up high. It was a slight feint, too. It wasn't much. But as soon as it came up high, Nasrat bit, and he just immediately throws up a right head kick. Nasrat Haqparast face planted into the canvas and ate shit. Out cold, completely out. It was bad, man. It was very, very bad, and I hope he's okay, man. That's not a normal knockout, man. When you see knockouts, I was very worried. I was like, dang, dude. Like, this is why you got to give these fighters credit, man. For you to get knocked out like that and to be out for... I mean, he was out for at least 10 minutes. Like, completely out. And when they woke him up, he was on his back just daydreaming. Still dreaming. So very, very good win for Quillan, man. I think Quillan's on a roll, too, right now. So big win for him. I'm excited to see this dude, see what he does next, But this was one of those knockouts where you see it, and you're just like, whoo! You gotta give respect. You gotta give respect to these UFC fighters now. Yeah. So now he's on a 3-fight win streak. He has two of his last 3 wins were by KO first round. So yeah. So good win. On to the next. We got Ikram Aliskerov versus Young Sung Park. Man, I was rooting for Iron Turtle. But I think Ikram just showed that he has dog in him. And, people are questioning whether he can go to distance because obviously, all of his fights in the UFC, he's either getting knocked out or it's ending in the first round. He got knocked out by Robert Whittaker, but every other fight he's won in the first round. So this was a good test for him. We kind of knew. I thought it was going to be a second round KO by Ikram, but we knew that Jung Sung was going to test him a little bit more than the other fights that he's been in. Outside of Robert Whittaker knocking him out. So this was a unanimous 30-27 for Ikram and Aliskerov. For me, in the first round, it looked like he was slow. It started a little slow. He wasn't throwing that right hand, and I know the pressure of Young Sung Park can get to you, and I think that's what it was. The pressure was probably getting to him at first, but he gets two takedowns in the first round, he was landing what seemed to be the more significant strikes, even though Young Sung Park landed a jab that obviously stumbled Ikram. In fact, I thought watching the fight and I would have to rewatch a fight, but just watching it, I thought that Young Sung actually won the first round watching it live, because that jab really stumbled Ikram. I know that Ikram got the takedowns, but he didn't do much in the way of damage. So I thought that Young Sung Park was, Iron Turtle won the first round, and Ikram won the second and third, because it looked like Ikram just came out a little slow and lethargic in the first round to me. Second round, he comes out with much more pace. He's picking up the pace. He's landing nice. He landed a really nice head kick that partially landed, but it landed. You know what I mean? Landed his nice overhand right. He busted Young Sung Park open in the second round. Obviously, won on the second round on damage. He gets the takedown. He's controlling Park's leg. He has his legs wrapped around Young Sung Park's leg, and he's using his right arm to control Young Sung Park on a leg ride. His ankle. So he has his legs wrapped around Young Sung Park's left leg, and he's using his right arm to control Iron Turtle's right ankle. So Iron Turtle's pretty much trapped. He has him on a leg ride, and he's just riding him, and Park is able to get back up, but Ikram gets a takedown, and I think you could start to see Ikram start to kind of fade after this. Once he was overextending a lot on these takedowns, but he even when tired, he was dogging and thugging through it. He was still able to land that right hand. And Park made it interesting the last 30 seconds of the fight, pressing him on the fence and kind of throwing that jab and hitting body shots and things like that. But I still think for the majority of the fight, Ikram did enough. Third round came out. Ikram's noticeably tired in my opinion. Park's pressing him, landing the jab. Ikram shoots a takedown, but Park's able to reverse it. Parks gets back up to the feet, and he's landing. He landed a left hook that looked like it. Ikram didn't like that at all. He landed a left hook, but Ikram gets the takedown eventually. And Ikram was landing too as well. And it looked like Ikram was landing more than Park was. Even though it looked like he was tired, he did fight through the exhaustion. And he did show grit in this fight. And it looked like he was outlanding. Park was zombieing forward, man. He was wearing the damage. And no matter how much he got taken down, he was getting back up. And he was walking forward no matter how much Ikram was landing that right hand. He was landing shots on Young Sung Park. Young Sung Park was zombieing forward and making it interesting, But Ikram landed the better shots in rounds 2 and 3. And, he apparently, to the judges, he landed the better shots in round 1, not in my opinion, but he walks away with a 30-27 unanimous decision. Good win for Ikram. Young Sung Park's game is one of my favorite fighters to watch. So this was a good win. Ludovit Klein versus Mateusz Rebecki. Unanimous 29-28 for Ludovit Klein. And Ludovit Klein got very lucky in this fight. So Ludovit Klein starts the first 2 rounds, and he's just styling on Rebecki, right? He has the range advantage by like 7.5 inches. He's he landed a straight left that had Mateusz Rebecki doing the crip walk, literally. My man was doing the stanky leg in the first round, like literally. Stumbled him badly. In the first round, he was just landing. They got into the firefights, right? They were getting into firefights, but Klein, again, like I said in my prediction video, he was cleaner with his strikes. He was more precise with his strikes, and he just was able to land better shots on Mateusz Rebecki, and he hurt him in the first round. Second round comes out, Rebecki's pressing a little more, but he's still getting caught. They get into a firefight, and Klein lands a hard uppercut, stumbles Rebecki again. So the first and second round, Ludovit Klein lands the better shots. Rebecki starts chaining takedowns together. He lands a single leg takedown, slammed Ludovit Klein. Somewhere in one of the firefights, I think Klein cuts open Rebecki, and Rebecki's leaking badly. Klein is catching him with that right hook, the left straight. He's just out landing him with cleaner shots, while Rebecki seemed to be looping shots and trying to land like a one-hitter quitter or something like that. He was going for it on every shot. You know what I mean? And that's what Rebecki is. I said that in my prediction video. But in the third round now, Klein lands a head kick off of a combination that landed way more flush. It hurts his ankle somewhere, though. I don't remember what he said hurt his ankle, but once Rebecki got the takedown, that was it. The rest of the round, he had Ludovit Klein on the ground. He was landing some devastating elbows on Ludovit Klein and some punches. And I thought that to the point where Ludovit Klein's eyes looked to be glazing over, I thought they were going to stop the fight. I mean, it looked like it was coming. You know what I mean? It looked like, Klein was still defending, but it looked like the finish was coming. And Klein was able to survive, So he lost the third round. I think it's because he broke his ankle. When they did the post-fight interview, he was sitting on a bench, so he couldn't even stand, So Ludovit Klein gets the victory 29-28 by winning the first two rounds. He lucked out by breaking his ankle in the third and not in the second or first or something like that. So good win. I think had Rebecki known that he had broke his ankle, I think he would have gotten back up and if the ref tries to stand you up and you can't walk, the fight would have been ended. So unfortunate for Rebecki, he didn't know that he broke his ankle. Ludovit Klein, Rebecki thought he had him hurt, so he thought he could finish him on the ground. So I guess that's why he didn't get up. But that's unfortunate, because Rebecki, now this is another fight where he's taking insane amounts of damage. We saw him versus Chris Duncan, Diego Ferreira, Orobai. They gotta find this guy a fight where he's not getting brutalized, man. It's getting crazy, actually. It's wild. Walter Walker versus Louie Sutherland. Louie Sutherland is just a fat shit. He's a very fat man. He's a fat guy. He's huge. He's large. His belly's humongous, right? He's very fat. He's like a fat shit cat, right? He's talking all this shit about how he's going to defend the heel hook. Walter Walker, as we know, has had like 4 or 5. I think he's on his 4th heel hook victory in a row now. Let me actually make sure, because this is like legendary. This has never before happened. Let me actually look this up real quick. Walter Walker is on let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight heel hook. 5 fights in a row he's won by heel hook. That just goes to show you how terrible these heavyweights are at grappling. I wanted to bring up another point about Rakic. Go to heavyweight, brother. I think that, listen, Rakic has lost now 4 in a row. If Rakic goes to heavyweight, I see him making a run, to be honest. He's very good. He's a very good striker. He's very tall. He's very rangy. He's in shape. Go to heavyweight and give it a try, man. You're not having any success in light heavy. You've lost 4 in a row now. You know what I mean? You've gone through injuries. You've gone through all these things. You're not making a run for the belt. Go up to heavyweight and make a run there. You know what I mean? I think Rakic has a chance to make some noise at heavyweight, in fact. But if he stays at light heavy, I think he's going to get cut from the UFC. Can't win a fight to save his life these days, and, give heavyweight a shot. I think he would actually have real success. I think he can actually make a real run at heavyweight. You know what I mean? So, yeah, let's give Rakic that chance, and I think we should see kind of like a resurgence, but it'll be fun to see. Walter Walker, is a problem, man. He called out Hamdi, I think, Abdullah Wahid on the mic. It's like, dude, no, you need to start moving up and getting some decent competition. Ante Deliha, somebody like that is who you need to fight. Stop calling out these like bottom of the barrel freaking heavyweights. You need to start getting ranked competition, ranked opposition. Okay? Not these bottom of the barrel guys. Very, very good heavy. Valter Walker comes out. He's light on his feet. He's very fast. His entries on the takedowns are insane. The timing is unreal. Now, sure, he's fighting fat shit cats, but you know, I think he's very, very nimble on the feet. His kicks are fast. You know what I mean? He's good, man. He's very, very good. He's very, very good. I think this heel hook ability, we've never seen anything like this. 5 fights in a row, you're winning by heel hook. This is incredible. Get Valter Walker some ranked opposition, and we shall see what his ceiling is. I think he could be good. I don't know how good, which is why we need to get him some ranked opposition. On to the next fight. We got Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Miguel Delgado. This one was controversial because it was a very close fight. Very, very close fight. I personally thought Jose Miguel Delgado won the fight. The first round happens, and both guys, listen, Jose Miguel Delgado's using his range very well. He's peppering up Nathaniel Wood. And he drops him with this a spinning back fist, a spinning back fist. Drops him bad, and I thought that the fight was going to end. He drops him and proceeds to rain down like at least 12 unanswered shots. Nathaniel Wood is a dog. Survives. Don't know how. He survives, and then he drops Jose Delgado in the same round with the overhand right. This is a back and forth war. I do want to point out that Jose Delgado did miss weight by 1 pound. So, that 1 extra pound is something, okay? So that is a factor. But it was a wild first round, very back and forth. Nathaniel Wood showed the dog inside him, and you could maybe that took the life out of Jose Miguel Delgado a little bit, but unfortunately, he lost his fight. For me, I thought he won 1-3, but I thought that he was able to keep Nathaniel Wood at the end of his strikes, stay rangy with the teeps. He was still outlanded Nathaniel Wood by 40 strikes. The majority of those were when he dropped him in the first round, and he was raining down unanswered shots on him. So a majority of those happened then, but. It just seemed like Nathaniel Miguel Delgado was landing the more significant strikes. Let's look and see what the stats actually say, though. Let's see what the stats actually say. I'm very curious on who landed more on each round. Let's see. So the overall fight, Miguel Delgado landed 40 more strikes is what the stats say. So first round, it says 75-25. Second round, Nathaniel Wood, they say, landed more shots in the second round. And Nathaniel Wood got a takedown in the second round. So in the second round, Wood starts grinding him out. He starts pressuring him, controlling the octagon. He gets a takedown. And he gets a body lock trip takedown, leg sweep takedown. He lands the more impactful shots that round. That left hook was landing. He landed some ground and pound. The second round, they have it on the UFC stats here. It says 37-29. It's still a very close second round. You know what I mean? I think that the first round, I think the win was the life, not necessarily life, but the spirit, the fighting spirit was taken out of Jose Miguel Delgado a little bit because Nathaniel Wood was able to survive that spinning back fist. But this is the experience that a young fighter like this needs. I think that he's going to learn that, listen, if something like that happens, you continue to press the action, man. You continue to go out there and you continue to show that you're the guy. And you don't let something like that discourage you, and you kind of put out, because in the third round, I thought that, to me, in the third round, stats show that Nathaniel Wood landed 2 more strikes. That's interesting. But it was a close round. I thought that Jose Miguel Delgado landed the better shots at range. He was landing the more significant shots. The teeps were landing, the hook, the jab. It looked like he was landing the more significant shots. I know Nathaniel Wood got a takedown in that round and was landing some ground and pound. But, yeah, I just thought that Jose Miguel Delgado did a little bit more in the third round. but apparently not according to the UFC stats. Yeah, so it was a very, very good fight. This was definitely probably going to win fight of the night for sure, I think. Yeah, good win for Nathaniel Wood, man. Very, very good win. I think he's won like 5 of his last 6 now. So yeah, we'll see what happens next for him. But Miguel Delgado showed some grit himself. He did get dropped in the first round and was able to come back. And I think that this is a good learning experience for him. He won his first 2 fights by first round KO. He almost had the first round KO in this one, didn't get it. Think that kind of like shook him a little bit, kind of took the life out. Then he got dropped. So I think that kind of like he was kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, what the heck? This is not normal. I usually finish guys type of thing. You know what I mean? And that didn't happen. It kind of surprised him. I think that now he has to go back to the drawing board, learn from this fight. I think he will. He is dangerous. He's good. And I think we'll see him do better in his next fight. On to the next, we got Hamdi Abdel Wahab versus Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett's a fat shit cat, man. He's so fat and just doesn't do anything. He's just out there standing in front of Hamdi. What was it that, elbows to the back of the head. So Hamdi takes him down and is raining down elbows. He lands a bunch of elbows to the back of the head. The ref warned him several times. The second time that he did it, the ref took a point. And you could see the sense of urgency happen right then and there. Hamdi comes out and he's pressuring hard. He's throwing punches. He's landing punches. He's taking Chris Barnett down. Chris Barnett has absolutely no defense for anything. He can't defend the takedowns. He can't defend the strikes. He can't defend the kicks. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hamdi's just in the second round, he's taking Chris Barnett's legs out from underneath him on these trip takedowns. He's just riding Chris Barnett the entire round. The round 2 was complete domination. I think one judge, Mike Bell, gave it a 10-8. The second round, complete domination. He just completely dominated. Chris Barnett had absolutely nothing to offer in this fight. So yeah, he's just fat, man. I don't even know how he's this fat. Like, just go on a decent diet. You know what I mean? Go on a decent diet, lose like 40 pounds. Chris Barnett moves very well for as big and fat as he is. If he were to lose, like, he's 265. If he were to lose 20 pounds, just 20. Imagine how much better he's moving, how much more his athleticism would show. When you're carrying all that weight, man, on that frame, it's not gonna work, man. You're almost 300 pounds and you're like 5'7", dude. It's just not gonna work. You know what I mean? Let me see something here. So Chris Barnett. Let me see here. Yeah, listen, he's like, yeah. You gotta lose weight, man. You cannot. I don't understand how these guys are this fat. What are your coaches not in your ear telling you, come on, man, let's get you down to a decent weight? Like, I think Chris Barnett would be a legit problem if he were to be able to get to like 240, 235. Maybe if he was even able to get to like a 235 or something like that, where he's like his speed, because he's very athletic, he moves well. I think he could be a much better challenge for people, but he's just not going to do anything. He couldn't even move in there. He literally at one point was just standing right in front of Hamdi. It was a 30-26, 30-27, 30-27 unanimous decision for Hamdi. And that's going to continue to happen unless Chris Barnett makes some lifestyle changes, honestly. On to the next fight. We got Mitch Raposo versus Azamat. Unanimous decision for Mitch Raposo. 30-26, 29-27, 29-27. I think Maxim, what did he do to lose a point? He grabbed the fence blatantly in the third round. And again, the refs were on it. They were taking points. Ref took a point from him. He said, listen, you impacted the fight dramatically. I'm taking a point. You know what I mean? Mitch Raposo comes out. His foot was on the gas, man. And I said that that would hurt him because Maxim had the range and reach advantage, and Maxim could wrestle and do everything Raposo can do. So I thought that Raposo being too aggressive and going into the fire early would be dangerous, because I could see him getting cracked by Maxim's reach, and Maxim used his reach advantage to take advantage of it, but he wasn't able to do that. And so good win for Mitch Raposo, man. or not Mitroposo. Yeah, Mitroposo. Good win. Very aggressive. Comes out throwing combinations. It looked like a lot of the combinations were landing on Maxim's shoulders, but yeah, he was able to do a good job, man. Look, in my opinion, you know, Azat Maxim, I know a lot of the commentators were saying that Azat Maxim wasn't doing any damage with the takedowns. When you German suplex somebody and you slam somebody, is that not count as damage? Azat Maxim landed 3 suplexes, German suplexes on somebody, where he picked them up in the air, slammed them. Does that not count as damage? I'm interested to know that, because I think a slam, it counts as damage, man. When you pick somebody up in the air and you slam them down, that's damage. So to say he wasn't doing anything with the takedowns, I don't think is true. And I think that would have made the fight a little bit. Well, I honestly don't know how the judges were scoring it, but with the third round takedown, I can completely see. The first round was a little bit closer than I thought. I actually had the Mitroposo winning the first round, which still would have given Raposo the victory, or Maxim winning the first round. And even with the point, with the refs taking a point in the third round, it still would have given Raposo the win anyway. But I thought that Maxim won the first round. Raposo did enough in the second round. Even though he got German suplex, he was landing the better shots. He was landing better combinations. I do think that he would have won regardless. So good win for Mitroposo, his first win of the UFC. He was 0-2 to start his career, so he needed that win. Last fight, we are on to Mizuku Inoue versus Jacqueline Amorim. So I wake up in the morning. So this fight card started at like 10 a.m., right? So the prelim started at 10 a.m. I wake up and I'm a little bit late. It's like 10:20. I think the first round was almost done. I turn on the fight to Mizuku Inoue, like ground and pounding Jacqueline Amorim's face off in the first round. And just the entire fight went like this, Mizuki was able to stuff every takedown. Jacqueline was able to shoot on and just pound her face in, punch her right in her face. And I think that Jacqueline Amorim is just too one-dimensional. On her feet, she had nothing from Mizuku. And that's not going to work, man. That is just not going to work in the UFC. You need to have something on the way of damage on the feet, man. You're never going to be able to hurt or win fights by just having jiu-jitsu. She's elite jiu-jitsu, but if you can't at least stun somebody or hurt them on the feet before you take them down, they're going to be fresh on the ground defending takedowns with no damage. Just like she did absolutely nothing in this fight to hurt or to threaten Mizuki. And so Mizuki did, and Mizuki was locked in. That girl, you saw her face in that fight, she was not playing at all. No games. You know what I mean? So I just thought that she did a great job defending the takedowns, remaining composed and keeping from getting in bad positions and beating the shit out of Jacqueline Amorim. Jacqueline Amorim has some work to do. Get back to the lab. Work on your freaking striking. Mackenzie Dern has developed a bit of striking. I know she didn't start striking until she got into the UFC. And so, maybe Jacqueline Amorim, maybe you could start working on your striking and you can have some upside. But yeah, this is a horrible performance by Jacqueline Amorim. She has to go back to the drawing board and figure things out. It's your boy, the MMA Mechanic. Like, comment, share, subscribe, bell icon, all the above. Please let me know what you think about the Tom Aspinall situation. Do you think he's a bitch for not continuing the fight, or do you think that he did the right thing? I personally think he made the right decision, and not trying to be Mr. Tough Guy and fighting through an eye poke when he was getting pieced up. He was leaking blood everywhere. And that's not a reason. I'm not saying he quit. He legitimately got poked in the eye. The guy stuck his fingers in his eye. I like that he did not try and go out there and be Mr. Tough Guy and fight through that, because the fight necessarily wasn't going his way, even though he was landing a little bit more, and who knows what would have happened. Something looked off with Tom in this fight. I will say that. Something looked off. He looked slow. I know he packed on some muscle and stuff like that, but he looked slow, man. Tom's best when he has that speed advantage and he's light on his feet. He's in and out. He's knocking guys out. He needs to get back to that 250 with that speed. I don't think that 262 with all that bulky muscle. He just looked big and slow and lethargic in there. Flat-footed. I know Ciryl Gane threw him off with the angles that he was coming in and out with, that fast jab that he was using. So yeah, remake that fight for 322. I do not care if the heavyweights are underneath Islam. Islam is a huge star. 323, you can make it the main event in August, Vegas. Get that fight remade immediately, because I really want to see what happens in that one. Okay. On to the next one. See you next time.